Hi guys, welcome back to August Love Story, the channel. My name is Artieka.
And I'm Tommy.
And Tommy forgot his name.
I forgot
and
my part.
Today we are reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 12. Can't remember what the episode is titled, but it'll be in the subject.
In the title of the video.
Title. That's the word. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into this review.
Let's do it.
All right, starting with the couple I wrote the absolute least about, Jose and Rachel. If continuing to follow through with someone who is a gigantic red flag was a relationship, it would be Jose and Rachel. Essentially, what I wrote down, they discussed their travel differences. Rachel was saying that she was excited to have a spouse and to be able to travel Europe with someone that wasn't her friend or her mother. Jose is like, yep, we can travel Texas.
Yeah, I was like, don't they live in Texas? But I get what he was saying.
Texas is a huge state. Don't get me wrong. Texas is also vastly rural. What are we going to go see?
Yeah.
We just want to say you did it, or what is it?
That's
because I've driven through lots of Texas.
Yeah.
It's not very interesting until you get to the cities. I mean, much like Tennessee is not interesting and Georgia's not interesting. The South.
Yeah.
It's not interesting unless you're in the cities.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up, because yes, we do know we did not record an episode for last week's episode, but he basically did what she asked him to do, which is apologize finally after, some convincing from other people. But it's like these things that he's doing now is you don't want to forgive him because that's behavior that as soon as something gets on his nerves, like you can't do stuff like that. For me, that's what he did, that's a not coming back from. Mm-hmm. That's no, I can't do it.
Red flag was a relationship.
Exactly. So now what's going on with them is I feel like she's just going through the motion of them. Like, hey, we're just going to have this conversation because that just really didn't sit right with me, man. And I don't think there's nothing he could do for me to fix that situation. So that was my addressment for last week's. But we did find out that she buys a lot of microwave food. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's not a red flag, but that's just like, the question pops up, is it that she can't cook or doesn't want to?
So I remember having a conversation with a friend, and back in her pre-husband, pre-parenting days, she ate out a lot.
Yeah. And
she used to always say, like, people would say, why don't you just cook? She's like, because you have to buy all these ingredients to cook food, and it's just me. Mm-hmm. I could just eat something really quickly, and it's not super expensive, and I'll have leftovers because it's just me. I think that Rachel is in a it was just me situation, and that's why she ate microwave food.
No, I get that, man, but it's like my just me situation had me actually cooking, had me actually doing a lot of things that, microwave food wasn't what I wanted. So, but anyway, that's just me. What else? Oh, they went to a winery and she had never been. So that was a plus.
Rachel has had a lot of firsts on this show, like outside of the crazy husband. Like, she learned how to ride a bike.
Oh, she did. Yeah, she did.
This is her first time going to a winery. It's probably her first time being locked out of a house.
It definitely probably is.
She had a lot of firsts. Yeah. I think that the trip to the winery was actually pretty nice. I enjoy going to wineries. Remember, I did that for one birthday by myself.
Yeah. Remember, I did that for you for a birthday?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So outside of the date on the winery, they, as in Jose and Rachel, went with Brett and Ryan to do some type of rock wall climbing extreme sports situation. The ladies won. They had fun. You get to this winery conversation and Rachel is just like, you're not going to like Rachel at home in the summer.
Yeah, because we found out she's on school schedules, right?
Yeah,
because she works in the school. She was saying that she gets mean because of boredom, and she was also bringing up the fact that them moving into his home is the change for her. It's nothing that really changes for him. And, that's where she got to the mean part and stuff like that. And I was like...
I couldn't understand how we jumped from your home to mean, but I could see you wanting to be mean to Jose.
Like, she said something that had concern for me, and Jose brought it up, but she was like, she's never been in a relationship in the summertime.
How, when she was with somebody for like 6 years?
I don't know.
Did they break up every summer?
Every summer they broke up. I don't know. Somebody's lying. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like a weird thing to do. Like some people just break up over the summer because it's the summer. Like, you get to go outside, you get to do
not cheating, it's the summer.
Right, exactly. That's what they think it is. But I mean, I don't know, man. Like, that's a concern. That's a real concern.
If red flags was a relationship. I got nothing else for them.
Yeah, I'm stretching it out.
All right, you didn't have to.
Okay.
All right, so you want to do Zach and Michaela or Brett and Ryan?
We can go with Zach and Michaela because I don't have much for them either.
All right, so Zach and Michaela started out going to play bubble ball soccer. Looks fun. We should try it.
We should try it and vlog it.
I don't want to be embarrassed on the internet like this because it's just...
Yeah, that'll be fun though.
So they play soccer. They have a wager that whoever loses has to dance in their soccer ball. Michaela lost and she had to Dougie, and it was the funniest Dougie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Can you
Dougie?
I don't dance. So after they finish playing, they sit and talk about happy times on their wedding day, and they show a clip of, him and his groomsmen dancing and around her. I wish we knew what song they were actually dancing and singing.
Probably like a copyright infringement.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure it was.
They played their own music.
So they basically were talking about happier times and how they can get back to those. I'm not really sure. It seems like they're on the path to trying to get back to the happier times, but then we have that little clip of Hurricane K striking again.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that part.
It's just like looming.
Yeah.
And so it makes me wonder, was it Ryan? Or not Ryan. Was it Zach? Or was it somebody else? You just...
No, it probably was Zach.
It probably was, but you just never know because of editing.
Yeah.
So next up, we see Michaela sit down with her sister and talks about the relationship, and she tells her sister that she's in love, and her sister's like, well, I'll be. And then after that, they, she says like the Grinch has her heart and she's grown. And after that, they decided to do some type of scrapbooking. Like they hung up their vows in a frame. It fell over. And then they wrote each other poems.
They was looking at it like, that's good.
I was like, fix it. They wrote each other poems using their names. And Michaela's was like sweet and thoughtful. And Zach's was like...
It rhymed.
It rhymed, it told a story, and I'm slick throwing a little bit of a jab in it.
Yeah.
All in all, they both have used the L word around each other, but are not necessarily saying, I love you. I think Michaela might be, though.
Yeah, Michaela's saying she loves her. Zach is saying that he's loving her. I don't know what Zach is saying. Zach says a lot of confusing things. I think for them,
Zach is confusion.
yeah, I think for them, they are learning to deal with confusion and troubles. Just for lack of better words, I use trouble. See, exactly. But no, they're learning to deal with or overcome anger issues that they have, or confusion, or communication. That's the word I'm looking for. Their communication issues. They're learning to overcome their communication issues.
Yes. You're overcoming your communication.
Right, because I couldn't remember what it was. I didn't write it down, but I took a mental note. And I think that's good for them as people. I really can't tell how their relationship is going to go just because we still have that looming Hurricane K scene to come up. And then as well, Zach said everything that he, like, basically Zach was like, I don't want to be with her. And then all of a sudden it's, flowers and rainbows, so.
It was, I don't want to be with her until she's like, me neither. And then he's like, why you not trying with me?
Right. But that's, what I'm saying? It's like people going to show their colors. And something in the back of my mind is saying like, hey, he wants to be married, but doesn't want to be married to her because of what he thinks of her.
Now, there's somebody else that don't want to be married to their spouse.
Oh man, we'll get to him later. But I think they're growing in the right direction. I think them having those issues early on helps them later on in their relationship. So,
yeah. Go to a happier approach. Which I never thought that I would be using them to represent happiness.
Let's do it.
Gil and Mimi.
Right. And aren't they surprising?
Yes.
The surprise couple is Gil and Mirla for me.
So we start off with Gil mentioning that his lease is up in 3 weeks and he's not going to renew it. So they're basically looking at types of apartments. He tells her that he's looked at the complex that they're staying in now for Married at First Sight to see what type of openness they have. And he was basically telling her the differences in the floor plans, and he could not give her the prices, which I'm sure it wasn't that he couldn't give her the prices. He just wasn't going to give her the prices on camera.
Yeah.
And basically they're just kind of discussing how things are going to go next. So one of the things we do like to see with Married at First Sight is the couples talking about what's going to happen after decision day, instead of decision day coming and nobody is like, oh, we're going to live together. So they're actively like taking the initiative to go out, find somewhere to live for the two of them. And I also like that they're not looking for one of them to move in with the other, but they're both moving out into
a new
their own space together, which that's one of the things. I mean, you can't do it when someone owns their home,
right?
But that's one of the things that they should try to do more of, is encourage the couples to not move into someone else's apartment,
right?
But for them to move into something that's theirs together, so nobody has stake of it being mine. So Mirla talks to one of her friends on FaceTime and lets her know that Gil is out looking for an apartment, and her friend is like, you trust him to do that? And she's like, he knows me. I'm like, look at you. Right. He knows me. And so basically she was just telling her friend that she's learning to compromise. The conversation came up about his friend buying a house and him wanting to go by the friend's house. She's like, can't we just go meet at a restaurant? He's like, the point is to go see his home.
Right.
Not to see him, but to like see him in his home while we go to a restaurant. So Mirla's working at it.
Right. We definitely get to see Mirla attitude change. And it's a relief, to be honest, just because I really didn't know how everything was going to go with them. I really counted them out in the beginning once I heard Mirla and her attitude. But Gil has really worked at that, and he's able to, sway her to a softer side. She also said one thing that stood out was like she didn't like how Gil like is so direct with her and takes the jabs that she said he says it in a joking manner, but she really doesn't like it, but she rolls with it. I don't know if she said she told him about that.
I can't remember.
I can't remember if she said that, but that was something that she brought up with her friend while she was talking to him on FaceTime. Yeah, whatever.
I really hope that she addresses that with him, because if he has not heard that she doesn't like it, he'll continue to do it.
It'll continue on and continue on till it builds up and bursts. Gil took time out to talk with his friend, I think it's Christian, and he was telling him that
I was like, who is Christian and why are we acting like he was at
the wedding?
But I'm saying, like, he walked in like a pseudo celebrity.
I don't know. He did, didn't he?
Like, who is this?
He thought he was me or somebody. But anyway, okay. Gil told him basically that she pouts and he called her selfish. And I can't say that he's not lying, but
Gil has some selfishness to him too. So.
All of us do as human beings. We're selfish. They haven't had sex.
Duh.
They have kissed. The only disagreements they have had were about the dog. Mm-hmm. And then, they cut to a scene where she basically Hype has stolen her heart as well. And
I don't know if Hype has stolen her heart or she's like, this is my stepdog.
No, but I mean,
I'd rather take him out to pee than for him to pee in the house.
Right. But she deals with Hype now. She feed him. She fed him something off her plate. I thought that was cute, man. Just seeing them two interact with each other, Gil and Mirla, man, it makes me smile when they're together.
Now.
So now at first I was like, Gil, run, brother, run. But Gil's biggest issue with Mirla is the fact that she doesn't want to change anything, like her way of life, and he was understanding of she doesn't have to. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that you should have to come in and minimize your way of life because you got married. I think that a spouse should add to.
Yeah.
Like, they should enhance, and you have to figure out what enhancing means for you. Is it a financial enhancement or is it some other enhancement? But
like I get what Gil is saying when he's like she doesn't want to change anything. I get what Mirla is saying when she's like saying she don't want to change anything. The thing it is like, let's say she buys 5 pair of shoes. We'll buy 4 because now we have to come together and figure out A, B, and C, because we never know what could happen. You know what I'm saying? We never know when one could be in the crunch. We've had to deal with it with cars on multiple times. So it's like you have to, even though it's not yours, you still have to be conscious as a spouse to make sure that you have your spouse's back. And that's where Gil is, but Mirla doesn't see it that way yet. That's my take on that situation. So
Mirla's just like, I have enough money to throw at these problems.
Right. Money is not an object.
I'm also not going to stay there. You got anything else for them?
No, that's it.
All right, so we'll go Brett and Ryan.
All right, let's do it.
I spent this entire episode waiting for Brett to out Ryan about dating apps, and it never happened. I don't like these previews of the whole season that have me anticipating something in an episode, and it never happens.
You thought it was going to be today, but
kind of like Michaela acting out.
And Hurricane K.
It didn't happen. So Brett sits down and talks to her friend about the wedding and the marriage
video.
Yes. And she said that now Ryan seems like he is checked out. I'm going to be honest. Ryan never seemed checked in to anything. Like, not the marriage. Like, you just can't read him.
Right. Well, like, the thing is, one thing you can't read is he he's not saying that Brett is ugly. It's just not a person he would have chosen to J down on. You know what I'm saying?
Arguing with other language.
Not a person that he would have hollered at.
Okay, thank you. I knew what you were talking about, but they didn't know what you were talking about.
Right. I got you. I'm sorry. And so that's basically been his biggest hurdle. Like she hits every other box except the "you're my type." And the thing that I feel like is like, if every other box is hit, you have to realize people get older. You know what I'm saying? If every other box is hit, try that.
Obviously, what you're doing hasn't worked.
Right.
If it did, you wouldn't be here
in this situation. So,
and it's not to say that what you like isn't what you like, but it's one of those things. It's kind of like, what exactly is it that you're looking for?
Right.
Because you talk a lot. Ryan, that is, talks a lot about the connection and wanting to do things together and have fun. And then he's just like, she's not what I've dated in the past. And it's like, you should have just led with, I'm not interested in a girl that isn't 5'4" with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Right.
Whatever the type is that he had, like, I'm not interested in anyone that doesn't look like this, because then they would not have cast you and you would not have wasted this girl's time. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, Brett is like basically having to sit there and watch this man not be interested in her, and him not telling her. Because if you notice, Ryan talked to Zach and told him, hey, he's not really interested in her. He talked to his sister and said, like, I'm paraphrasing, but he's not really into her there.
His sister was like, he's not adjusting to married life well. Yeah.
You think. But it's like he's telling all these folks that he's not interested in her, but not telling the person that he's supposed to be. Not talking to the person that he's supposed to be. Because while he was talking, I'm skipping around too. While he was talking to his sister, he brought up the fact that she's not clean enough. That's one of those things that you actually talk to a person about. That's what you don't just let it go on. You say, hey, can you clean this up? Or you...
I mean, in some terms, like, one of the things that he mentioned to his sister was like, she washed her clothes and she left them in the washing machine, and he's like, hey, won't you put those in the dryer? That could have been an instance of just doing it for her. Because you can't mess up putting clothes in the dryer. Like, I don't know what the issue is as far as, like, if he's, I mean, granted, she had things all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on, man.
I'm not saying that she did.
I felt the moment that she needs to clean up, but it's something you have to tell her.
Yeah, or just spend a few dollars and get somebody to come in and clean this up for us.
You and this maid, man. Anyway,
Go
ahead.
They exist for a reason, and some people just don't have the time or the desire in their day to do those functions, like do those functions in their home. Like, there's so much more enjoyment to life than just being the help, even to yourself. Like, you don't want to have to come home and clean up this person's mess, and if you have the disposable income to do it, you can. Like, just do it. It's okay to do it. And I'm not saying that they need to do that at 3 weeks in, but it could be articulated as a conversation. Like, how can I help?
Yeah.
What can I do for you? How can I help you better put things up? Like, I get that they share separate spaces, but that's not always going to be feasible.
Yeah.
And I don't mean within the home, but like going on a vacation. You're not always going to stay at a hotel that has 2 bathrooms in a room so that she can have hers and you can have yours. You're going to have to share spaces. So working towards figuring those things out.
Yeah, like that's what I feel like this 8 weeks is for, is just to make sure that you guys cover everything. It's like, it's the dating part on steroids, because he has to say, hey, you need to clean this up, or how can we keep this clean? You know what I'm saying? He has to be able to have that conversation with her in the beginning, just because it's like, if you don't say anything now and something miraculously happens and you decide to stay with her, that's how it's going to be. You know, and you have to work around. You have to accept that at that point once you make the decision to be in this. You know what I'm saying? So, one thing Ryan told her is that, like, they sat down with each other, not skipping around again. They stepped down.
This is the last thing I wrote.
Oh, it was? Okay, we'll wrap it up after this then. They sat down with each other to have a discussion about what's wrong with Ryan, and he went around the world to say nothing.
He lied.
He did. He basically was like, she wouldn't like 90% of the things that he has to say. And I'm like, just say it. You know what I'm saying? Because the worst thing you can do is not say it and let her think one thing or think something, you know, not know the truth of what's going on with you. And, you know, that could be a worse situation than just saying, hey, I don't like you, or I don't like what you do, or whatever it is.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
And I think that if he spent a little bit of time not trying to avoid the conversation, but actually having the conversation, he could find a way to tell her what he feels in a non-mean way.
Yeah.
It still might hurt her feelings, but it won't be nasty in the delivery.
Mm-hmm. They could still be friends afterwards or something.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it'll just be a conversation that they need to have, and that Brett doesn't necessarily know about until he decides to have it with her. So she's going to be in the dark until he decides to have that conversation. And even like him in the talk that they had, he's like, he thinks he needs to sleep in the other room because, what was his reason? He just said he's not sleeping well.
Yeah.
And he's going to sleep in the other room. And it was just like, just tell her she's messy and you don't want to sleep in there with it. Like,
just tell her you ain't feeling it. Because it's like, you're not feeling her because you're too stuck on your past. You know?
Wasn't he like never made it past 6 weeks?
Or something like that. I don't know what it was with him, but he's stuck on that. And that's what's hurting his situation with her, because she seems to be, outside of the messiness, she seems to be a pretty all right person.
Messiness and the fact that I don't know if it's her or if it's her hair. He mentions her hair a lot.
Does he?
Like, I've never been with someone that has red hair.
Yeah,
like, she's not a natural redhead.
Yeah, just tell her, let it stop dyeing it or whatever.
I wouldn't say tell her to stop dying, because you can't tell me what to do with my hair.
Ask her or something. Do
have
something
a conversation
different.
about it.
She come up with golden hair or something. I don't know. That's all I have for them.
All right. Last but not least, Bao and this crazy person she's married to. So, start off with Johnny saying that he wants 50-50 in a relationship. And they talk about their future beyond decision day. Because she's like, basically, we staying together?
Mm-hmm.
And he gave some crazy roundabout answer. Bao just said that, and this is a good mindset to go into Married at First Sight. There's a reason that I am here. I'm going to put all of my eggs into this basket, because if it fails, I'll at least know that I tried.
Mm-hmm.
That's her like bottom line. If it doesn't work out, I gave everything that I had for it. It is not going to not work out because of something that I did wrong.
Right.
Like, I'm doing everything that I can to. So he kind of goes over that same thing and says basically the same thing. Failure is not an option, except we have to put running at the first sign of a disagreement as failure because you don't get to go home in marriage. You have the same home. Like, I sincerely hope that they put this in as a clause for upcoming seasons.
Went home this episode?
Yes. Remember the crawfish thing. So they were playing Truth or Sip over dinner, and Johnny basically messed up the night had gotten back on the right path, it seemed. And then he basically told her that he asked her how much is she giving to the relationship. She's like 100%. He's like, if you're giving 100%, I'm giving 150. And he complains because she isn't doing things with him. And at the first chance that she got to do something with him, he ran. Like, what is your problem? Like, why are you running?
Yeah, like in that conversation with the 100, she's giving 100%, he's giving 150. I was like, we got a podcast episode talking about is relationships 50-50. And, you know, the conclusion of that was it's not. Somebody's always going to do more of something else. It's always going to be like that. You just have to accept it. What Johnny is looking at the situation is, or he's taking what's called, he's keeping score. That's the thing. Like, you can't keep score in the marriage. It is what it is. I struggled with that for a little while myself, but it's like you start to realize keeping score doesn't make sense. If a person is doing X, Y, and Z, just appreciate it and move on. You try to match or do the same thing, you know?
The thing that got me with Johnny was he got so pissed off about at dinner on last week's episode because she said that she was cooking these gourmet meals. And he's like, you haven't cooked anything. Come to find out, they're cooking them together. So she not cooking because she cooking with you?
Right.
Like, you're finding the technicality in this that you were there. So you want her to do it for you, not include you, but then do more things with you. You're being a walking contradiction.
Right. Johnny's looking for a out. That's what that is.
You know what he needs out of? Need to be popped upside his head.
But I understand Bao. It's like she's doing the thing. Now, I'm not trying to say she's perfect or anything like that, but what we see, you know, Bauer is you know, going along with a lot of the stuff. Now, the one thing that I did say was Johnny had her in the conversation of, like, she's doing X, Y, and Z, you know, with the cooking and all this stuff. Bring it up to her while y'all were talking about that. Don't talk about what you're doing and what I'm doing. Hey, I didn't like how you said X, Y, and Z because I don't feel like you're cooking every day.
That should have been a conversation on the ride back to the house.
That should have been on the ride back to the house or at dinner. Instead of him storming out like a little girl. And, you know, screaming.
It just, he frustrates
Johnny
me.
really pissed me off this episode.
He was frustrating. So basically he tells her he doesn't think they're compatible because they had this disagreement. I was like, if disagreements mean that you're not compatible, nobody is compatible.
Nah.
Because every relationship has some type of disagreement.
Yep.
And that was actually a very tame one. Like, he was being rude. But, like, I think that she handled herself very well because I got aggression issues.
Yeah.
And I get mad.
He's weird, man.
I get mad.
You do for no reason.
Don't do that. So after this disagreement, Johnny decides to leave, and Bao stayed up all night saying that she was going to learn all of his family members' names in Mandarin, and she meal prepped and like put all of their food for the week in these containers, and you know, got everything ready. And then he calls her the next day and is like, you're not coming with me. I was like, well, he wouldn't have had any food to eat that week. That's mine. That's mine too.
He uninvited her to the barbecue.
I'd be like, one of them got rat poisoning. You gonna figure out which one it is?
Johnny went to his aunt and uncle's barbecue, and he was saying that
I kept wondering why they were calling it barbecue because they were eating crawfish. I was like, this is a seafood.
It was a cookout. It was whatever, gathering, family gathering, and he basically was telling them that he doesn't want, because he doesn't know if it's gonna work out. He doesn't want Bao to get close to them and like them and stuff like that before they talked about whatever it is they need to talk about.
That's a tactic that you use when you're trying to get out of a relationship. Nobody can have attachment to you if you don't exist.
Right.
You don't exist.
I felt really bad for her too, man. Just because it's like, if you need to have a conversation with her, have the conversation. Mm-hmm. But at this point, she's your wife. She's family. Y'all go to the barbecue together. Mm-hmm. You create those memories. You create that.
You go see her before this barbecue and have this conversation.
Right.
So that then you can go to this. I'm having a hard time calling it barbecue. This barbecue.
This social gathering.
You going over here to eat food with your in-laws. Just have the conversation before you go so that when you get there, everything is behind you guys.
And Johnny has a lot of growing up to do too, which is funny to say that because he's older than us. Because as a married couple, if you don't want other people in your business, you don't tell them. So in that situation there, it's you have the conversation with Bao, and then y'all go to the family gathering as if nothing is wrong. Even because we've done it and been completely pissed at each other. Both of us. Getting out the car, it just snaps. And
another thing.
But you have to be mature enough to do that, and then kind of control your emotions, because he went there with the intentions of, hey, she's a bad person, I don't want to be with her, you guys don't need to get close to her and stuff like that. He's like, I'm looking for the love from high school or high school love, and his aunt and uncle was like, hey man, you're not in high school anymore.
You ain't gonna find it there.
Ultimately, his aunt, I think that was his aunt, sat down with him, was telling him, hey, I just want you to be happy and everything like that. And so, that's where that ended.
They get back to he comes back to the house. They have a sit down with Pastor Cal, and Pastor Cal basically called him on it. He's like, you're running. Stay there. Like, married people don't get to run.
Mm-hmm.
There's like no threat of violence or danger. Stay. You don't get to just leave. And he's like, it's somebody else occupying your time. And he hesitated on answering. But it's just like, it's kind of like the Chris and Paige situation. I don't really like you, and then I'm gonna say two nice things to you, and then, oh my God, we're so in love, we're happy again.
Yeah.
And then 2 episodes later, I really don't like you. I can't believe you said that to me. Oh, let's talk about it with an expert. We're good again. It's like a vicious cycle, and it's like the root of this vicious cycle is Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny having issues with certain things that he can't just articulate. He has to blow up and be nasty about it and then leave. It's like, I get to blow up with you, and then you have to sit in here in this house and all the confusion that I've caused, and I can go do whatever I want to do in my house. And it's just like, I'm happy Pastor Cal called out the, do you have someone else? Is there someone else? You're just trying to run, because that's what it looks like. You're making mountains out of molehills, and then you're like, and I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah, I'm going home. All right, Steve.
So it's just like, he's trying to paint Bao as a bad person, but in the end, at least from the television lens, he looks like the bad person.
He definitely looks like the bad person.
Because you can't even have a decent conversation with this person who is really trying. Because if the thing is, first off, you need to figure out, do you want to do things with her, or do you want her to do things by herself? Because
that's the first
I want you to cook by yourself to say you're cooking for me, but then I want you to include me in yoga in the mornings.
Yeah, like that. Do you want to do yoga? If you wanted to do yoga, just get up and do it. If you know she's doing it, just get, like, you don't have to be asked. Just get up and do it.
And so she's like, I'll try to get up earlier to have coffee with you in the morning. Okay, so she's actively trying something. And the reason that she's actively trying is because you finally brought it to her attention. The issue is, beforehand, you did not bring it to her attention, so how would she know?
Right.
So the thing is try. Like, your 150% is looking real 52 to her 100.
Yeah.
Because she's at least articulating what her needs are, and all you're doing is throwing a tantrum and then going home. Because that's him and Zach's MO.
Yeah.
I don't have to take this. I'm going home. That's all I got for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's it for me.
Oh, I put that Bao initiated a conversation before bed. Oh, that's where the coffee thing came.
Oh, yeah.
And so at this point in this season, like, I don't care if anybody stays together. Just get us to the end.
Stays together.
Look, just get us to the ending of the season, because I feel like this is the season of track stars. Ryan has ran. Zach has ran. Johnny has ran. Rachel should have ran.
Yep. She didn't get the memo.
Well, she left her keys. She couldn't run. It's like the only people that have not run as of yet is Mirla and Gil, and that's because Gil has had to compromise.
Yeah, on a lot of things. So,
well, I'm just saying he's had to compromise to her things that she's not willing to compromise on. But she's had to compromise too, because she's compromised on height, but he's having to compromise on where they're going to live. And honestly, that's what it should be. Like,
that's what it is. It's a give and take type of deal.
Yeah, there should be compromise in the relationships all the way around. But at this point, all y'all got some toxic traits that need to be worked through, and hope y'all get the help that y'all need. And Rachel, you should run out of there.
Yeah. Oh, question for the episode is, how should Bao respond to what Johnny was saying to her? Like, cause he said a lot of mean things on the phone on the video chat with Pastor Cal, and it's like Bao's response wouldn't have been my response, because it was like she just turned around and was like, okay, everything's all right now. But
I definitely had some I'm not going to get out of character moments.
Yeah, I feel like that's not the response Bao should have presented, especially talking to the expert. So let us know in the comments how you feel Bao should have would have been a better response to what Johnny was saying, and just overall how Bao should be going forward in this relationship with him. So
yeah, that's it.
All right, that's it. That's all I got.
All right, if you guys haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, answer Tommy's question. He'll write what it is in the comments. And like this video, share it to a friend that watches Married at First Sight. Bye, y'all.
Peace.